The scars you hide are the superpowers you need. Welcome to the Soft Girl Era podcast, where we unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom we deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolce, like sweet softness whispered in French. I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I want to share something with you that came from a powerful conversation I had with Shonta Burton, a woman whose life is a living testament to the fact that your past does not define your future. Shonta has walked through fire and came out shining, not because life was easy, but because she refused to let her pain have the final word. She's a creative, a storyteller, a community builder, and a woman who now uses her voice to inspire, empower, and uplift others through film, music, and honest, vulnerable storytelling. She survived trauma, heartbreak, loss, addiction, and moments where she didn't recognize herself anymore. But she also survived herself, her doubts, her fears, and the voices that told her she wasn't enough. Her breakthrough came the day she decided to fight for her own life, her purpose, and her peace. Since then, she's been rebuilt piece by piece, and every day she chooses to walk in gratitude, not guilt. Her work is changing lives, and her message is one we all need to hear. She stands proudly in her truth because she knows somebody needs to hear it in order to free themselves from theirs. She is proof that healing is real, reinvention is possible, and purpose will chase you down even when you're running from it. So let's talk about something we don't talk about enough: the weight of survival, the exhaustion of being strong all the time, the quiet moments when you wonder if anyone sees you, really sees you, beneath the cape you've been wearing for decades. Because here's the truth: most of us weren't taught how to rest. We were taught how to endure. We were taught that strength means silence, that vulnerability is weakness, and that asking for help is somehow a betrayal of the women who came before us. We were taught to carry it all, fix it all, and smile through it all. And we did until we couldn't anymore. But what if I told you that the very thing you've been hiding, the pain you've been running from, the mistakes you've been ashamed of, could actually become your greatest source of power? What if your scars aren't something to cover up, but something to honor? What if healing isn't about erasing your past, but about integrating it into a future that's bigger, softer, and more aligned with who you really are? That's what Shonta Burton taught me, and that's what I want to share with you today. Let's start here. Your past does not define your future. I know that sounds like something you'd see on a motivational poster in a dentist's office, but stay with me because this isn't about toxic positivity or pretending your pain didn't happen. This is about recognizing that no matter how your journey begins, whether in pain, adversity, or uncertainty, you have the power to rewrite your story and rise beyond your circumstances. Healing and reinvention are possible for everyone, not just the people with the right resources, not just the people who had a head start, not just the people who look like they have it all together. Everyone. Think about Tarana Burke. In 2006, long before hashtags were a thing, long before social media made movements go viral overnight, Tarana was doing something radical. She was sitting with young girls, many of them Black, many of them survivors of sexual violence. And she was saying two words that changed everything: Me Too. Tarana herself was a survivor. She carried her own trauma, her own shame, her own silence, and she could have stayed quiet. She could have told herself that her pain was too personal, too messy, too much. But instead, she did something audacious. She turned her pain into a platform. She created safe spaces where survivors could share their stories without fear, without judgment, without being told to just get over it. She fostered healing and solidarity in places where there had only been silence and stigma. And then in 2017, when the hashtag went viral, when millions of women around the world started saying "Me Too," Tarana's work exploded into a global phenomenon. The movement led to policy changes, increased awareness, and a cultural shift regarding sexual violence. It transformed conversations about consent, power, and accountability worldwide. But here's the thing: Tarana didn't wait for her pain to disappear before she started helping others. She didn't wait until she was healed, whole, and perfectly put together. She used her pain as fuel. She turned her trauma into a testimony. And in doing so, she gave millions of women permission to do the same. That's what happens when you stop letting your past define you. You start defining your future. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for the right moment. You stop waiting to be ready. You just start. Now, let's talk about the second truth: embracing vulnerability unlocks strength. I know. If vulnerability sounds scary, it sounds like weakness, it sounds like giving people ammunition to hurt you. But here's what I've learned and what Shonta Burton embodies in her life and work: the places you once tried to hide your pain, your mistakes, your recovery can become your greatest sources of power. By facing your struggles head on, you build resilience and inspire others to do the same. Dr. Thema Bryant is a perfect example of this. She's a Black psychologist, a minister, a poet, and a woman who has dedicated her life to helping others heal from trauma and reclaim their lives. Dr. Bryant faced systemic barriers, cultural stigma around mental health, and personal struggles as a survivor. She could have hidden behind her credentials. She could have pretended she had it all together. She could have put on the mask of the perfect professional who never struggles, never falters, never breaks. But instead, she did something revolutionary. She integrated faith, psychology, and art to guide individuals through recovery and self empowerment. She brought her whole self to the table. She didn't compartmentalize her pain. She didn't separate her spirituality from her scholarship. She didn't pretend that healing was a straight line or that recovery was a one time event. She showed up again and again in her full humanity, and her work has helped countless people heal, find purpose, and build resilience after trauma. Dr. Bryant's journey through her own pain inspired her to become a leader in trauma recovery and empowerment. She became president of the American Psychological Association, the first Black woman to hold that position, and a leading voice for mental health in Black communities. Her advocacy has shifted perceptions of mental health and inspired new models of culturally informed healing. She's rewriting the narrative about what it means to be strong, what it means to be whole, and what it means to be healed. Dr. Bryant didn't hide her scars. She wore them like badges of honor. She said, "This is what I survived, and this is how I'm going to help you survive too." That's the power of vulnerability. It doesn't make you weak, it makes you unstoppable. And here's the thing: when you embrace vulnerability, you give other people permission to do the same. You create a ripple effect. You become the safe space someone else has been searching for. You become the proof that healing is real, that reinvention is possible, and that purpose will chase you down even when you're running from it. You become the living, breathing evidence that transformation is not just a buzzword, it's a birthright. That brings me to the third truth: purpose and community fuel transformation. When you choose to fight for your own life, purpose, and peace, you not only heal yourself, but also create opportunities to uplift and empower others. Your story can be a catalyst for change in your community and beyond. Let's talk about Ava DuVernay. She's a Black filmmaker who overcame industry barriers and personal challenges to become a celebrated director and advocate for representation. Ava faced racism, sexism, and rejection in Hollywood, as well as self doubt and creative obstacles. She started her career as a publicist, working behind the scenes, promoting other people's dreams. And for a while, that was enough. But then something shifted. She realized she had stories to tell, visions to create, voices to amplify. She realized she didn't want to just promote other people's art. She wanted to make her own. So at 32, she reinvented herself. She picked up a camera and started directing. And she didn't just make films, she made movements. Her film, Selma, brought the story of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the voting rights marches to a new generation. Her documentary, 13th, sparked national conversations about mass incarceration and systemic racism. Her series, When They See Us, humanized the Central Park Five and led to real world policy changes. Ava didn't just heal herself, she created a platform for others to heal too. She founded Array, a distribution company for underrepresented voices, ensuring that stories from marginalized communities could reach wider audiences. She became the first Black woman to direct a film nominated for a Best Picture Oscar. She turned her pain into purpose and her purpose into a movement. That's what happens when you stop surviving and start thriving. You don't just change your own life, you change the world. And that's what Shonta Burton is doing. She's using her voice, her creativity, and her experiences to inspire, empower, and uplift others through film, music, storytelling, and community work. Everything she builds, whether it's content, community projects, or opportunities for others, is rooted in that transformation. She shows up as a testimony, not a tragedy, and she's not waiting for permission. She's not waiting to be perfect. She's just showing up, scars and all, and saying, if I can do this, so can you. So here's what I want you to take away from this. First, your past does not define your future. No matter where you've been, no matter what you've survived, you have the power to rewrite your story. Second, embracing vulnerability unlocks strength. The things you've been hiding are actually the things that will set you free. And third, purpose and community fuel transformation. When you heal yourself, you create space for others to heal too. But here's the part we don't talk about enough. This work is not easy. It's not a quick fix. It's not a 10-step program you can complete in a weekend workshop. This is deep soul level work. This is about unlearning decades of conditioning. This is about dismantling the lies you've been told about who you are and what you deserve. This is about choosing yourself over and over again, even when it feels selfish, even when it feels scary, even when it feels impossible. And let me be clear, choosing yourself is not selfish. It's sacred, it's necessary, it's the only way forward because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot heal others if you're still bleeding. You cannot lead if you're too exhausted to stand. This is your soft girl era. This is your time to unlearn survival and rediscover joy. This is your time to drop the cape, set the boundaries, and choose yourself, not out of burnout, but out of reverence. This is your time to rest without explanation, to say no without guilt, to be soft without apology. And I know what you're thinking. But LeAnne, I don't have time to rest. I have responsibilities. I have people depending on me. I have bills to pay and mouths to feed and a job that won't do itself. I hear you. I see you. And I'm telling you, you don't have time not to rest. You don't have time not to heal. You don't have time not to choose yourself. Because if you don't, you will break. And when you break, everyone who depends on you will feel it. So here's my challenge to you. After listening to this, I want you to identify one part of your story that you've hidden or felt ashamed of and share it with someone you trust. Use that truth as a foundation to set a new goal, seek healing, or help someone else. Remember, your breakthrough begins when you choose to fight for your own life and purpose. But don't stop there. I want you to do something even more radical. I want you to rest. I want you to say no to something that's draining you. I want you to set a boundary, even if it makes people uncomfortable. I want you to choose softness, even if the world tells you to be hard. I want you to honor your scars, not hide them. I want you to tell your story, not because it's easy, but because someone needs to hear it. Because here's the truth: your story matters, your pain matters, your healing matters, and the world needs you, not the version of you that's exhausted and depleted and running on fumes. The world needs you whole, rested, soft, and free. The world needs you in your soft girl era. So take off the cape, set down the burden, choose yourself, and watch what happens when you do. Watch how your life transforms. Watch how your relationships deepen. Watch how your purpose clarifies. Watch how your joy returns. Watch how your softness becomes your strength. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning. This is the moment you stop surviving and start thriving. This is the moment you stop hiding and start healing. This is the moment you reclaim your power, your peace, and your purpose. So go, rest, heal, choose yourself. And when you're ready, share your story, because the scars you hide are the superpowers you need. And the world is waiting for you to rise.